You look at the holes Mekhi Becton was opening, and even the guards, and they had quite the rotating door at guard last year. They were very bad in pass pro. They were pretty good run blockers for the most part. So the running backs this year, there should be a noticeable difference.
Everything. I mean, the running backs, the wide receivers, but like the offensive line, like you just mentioned, man. I mean, massive upgrades. Morgan Moses, 86 run block grade last year. Dude's a beast like Mekhi. I think between the two of them, that's a top 5 tackle combination right there in the NFL between those two guys. I mean, Becton should have been a Pro Bowler last year.
And I'll say what excites me, too, that's under the radar a little bit is they can steal a page from Seattle's playbook a couple years ago. George Fant as a 6th offensive lineman, with his athleticism, you can get very, very creative because you can motion him. You can get him out in front on the move against linebackers and DBs. I think the Jets are going to be okay with teams knowing they're going to run the ball, but they're going to say, you don't know how we're going to run the ball, how big, strong, and athletic we are, and the way we're going to be able to do it. So I think an underrated part of the Moses signing is the fact that you have a piece like Fant to be that swing tackle that will play in jumbo sets.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you, man. Like, people are like, he's making so much money, but you have the money. Like, there's no award. There's no award at the end of the season for you have this much money. Here's the trophy. Yeah, like that's
pay out the fans.
So like, who cares if he's a high-paid swing tackle? You can afford it. And like you said, I like the idea of using him as like an inline blocking tight end. You mentioned a guy like Tyler Kroft, who's like legitimately one of the best blocking tight ends in the league. Like, offensive linemen praise his blocking ability, which is really impressive.
Right. One of the biggest things. And Conor, I really want to ask you about this because I'm very curious to get your thoughts on the offensive line. With the overhaul that's now being done, you have Mekhi Becton coming off an injury, definitely coming back. They drafted Elijah Vera Tucker. Okay, now they signed Morgan Moses, which pretty much makes George Fant a piece that you can move around anywhere. Okay, do you see a Conor McDermott or possibly Cameron Clark now cracking this lineup? And of course, we can't forget about the undrafted free agent that they ended up bringing in, Tristan Hodge, who I understand, I think it's actually pronounced Hodge, but he supposedly had been turning heads a little bit during OTAs. So in your opinion of the offensive line, what exactly do you see?
Well, I think, we know 4 of the starters are in an ink, and we feel good about that. We know Becton, assuming he's healthy, is going to play left tackle. We know AVT is going to be the left guard. We know McGovern's going to be back at center. And I think he'll have a bounce back year, McGovern. I think with better guard playing next to him and in a better offense, he'll look a lot better. I'm assuming Van Roten is going to start. It could go a lot of ways. I mean, Cam Clark could have a good camp. Alex Lewis has 9 lives. You never really know how that's going to go. And then Moses is going to play right tackle, and Fant's your swing guy who realistically is probably going to start at some point if Becton has those little injuries that keep him off the field at some point. So that's how I project the locks, right? And then the backup situation gets really interesting on what they want to keep. Obviously, they signed Dan Feeney, kind of your backup interior player. He can play center and guard. Most NFL teams like having a guy like that so they don't have to carry a guy that's only a center as the backup. The only time you do that is if you drafted one and you want to ease him along. That makes a lot of sense. But in that case, when you bring in a veteran, he's got to be able to play both. So Feeney could be a backup guard, backup center. Cam Clark's still got to earn that roster spot. We just haven't seen him, right, guys? It's a wild card. And then the real other one is Chuma Edoga, because there's been flashes in small spots, but when he's had, some longevity in games or had to be a full game starter, he's really, really struggled in pass pro as well. And I don't know if the run blocking will ever really, the green light will ever come on as that kind of run blocker. So I think he would be on the bubble as well. So it's a very interesting group. You feel good. You always feel good when almost your 5 are locked in, right? And I'm saying Van Roten's a lock. It could go a lot of different ways, but I think they feel good about him starting at right guard, or good enough coming out of the gate. And then you're kind of figuring out the pieces behind them. But Fant and Feeney, we know are going to be here. We expect things out of Cam Clark. And it's a unit that, let's be real, every NFL team during the year faces a couple offensive line injuries. They have guys behind them that have actually started and played in a lot of games. The Jets it feels like they haven't had that in a long time.